but it looks like the gridlock is the name of the game politically, even though we're faced with these incredibly negative economic indicators. So how bad is it, and what's going to happen? To help us answer that, I want to bring in Dan Mitchell. He's a Forbes.com columnist and a senior fellow at the Cato Institute. Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Now, Dan, just to get it off right away, this news about manufacturing slowdown, obviously it's negative. How negative is it? Is this the kind of thing where we could see it continue on for the rest of the summer and possibly have real impact on the election? Or is this just sort of a blip in the overall economic picture?
Well, the honest answer is we don't know. It could be that the next bit of data shows positive news, but there's no question that regardless of the monthly, quarterly blips that we're seeing in economic data, this has been the weakest recovery that we have had since the end of World War II, since going all the way back to the Great Depression. If you compare all the business cycles we've had, and you mentioned yourself that we came out of a recession back in mid-2009, but we have not had the normal strong growth that you usually get with a recovery. If you compare what's happening now to, say, what happened during Reaganomics, the gap is enormous. All the data today is weak, anemic. We have to struggle to find little bits of good news, like maybe the construction data. In the 1980s, everything was going in the right direction. And that, I think, is really the defining characteristic of today's economy.
Right now, we're seeing Congress, of course, has the lowest approval ratings, I believe, ever. I think it's somewhere along where Saddam Hussein's approval ratings in the United States would have been before he was ousted. And Congress is just universally reviled, it seems, at this point in time. So I don't believe anybody, well, there are a few people. There's apparently a gang of 6 senators that say they could do something about this. They could reach some kind of a grand bargain. Putting aside for a second that no one's going to do anything sweeping or overreaching, it would seem, between now and Election Day. Dan, do you think there's anything that can be done, sort of a middle ground that will at least juice the economy and that both sides could take some credit for, therefore they might be willing to do it?
We had this same situation back in 2010, where the 2001 and 2003 tax cuts were scheduled to expire, and this is when the Democrats controlled everything, and we actually got those tax cuts all extended for another 2 years. Now the Republicans control the House, and they're going to vote to extend all the tax cuts at least for another year, I would think, if not another 2 years. The real question is how dug in and inflexible is Harry Reid in the Senate, and how inflexible and dug in is President Obama, because they're very much wedded to this idea of class warfare. We want to make those evil, bad, rich people pay higher taxes, punish them with higher double taxation on dividends and capital gains. And so long as there's that ideological inflexibility at the White House and in the Senate, it doesn't really matter what the House of Representatives does. So we're going to see a very interesting game of chicken, where the Republicans in the House are going to say, look, we passed something. What are you guys going to do? And Obama, of course, you know he's thinking re-election. If the economy's weak, that's going to hurt him. So my guess, and it's nothing but a guess, is that Obama will be the one to blink, because he doesn't want this tax-mageddon like a noose around the economy that strangles job creation for the next 5 to 6 months.
Well, and Dan, staying on the political themes, S.C. Cupp here, you know, Obama's often touted his success in the auto industry, restoring the auto industry, and he has to often be reminded that we don't live in the United States of General Motors. There are other sectors out there. Are there silver lining areas over the next 3 months that he's going to be touting now that we know that manufacturing probably won't be one of them?
Well, it definitely seems like the auto industry is what he considers an ace in the hole.
But it's his only ace in the hole, it seems like.
Well, and I don't even consider it an ace, because you can take any unprofitable business and keep it going by giving it billions of dollars of tax money. It's sort of like Solyndra was a success story up until the moment it went belly up. But frankly, it doesn't matter whether I think it's a success story. Voters in, say, Michigan, what otherwise might be a swing state, seem to appreciate the fact that taxpayers around the rest of the country have chipped in billions of dollars to subsidize the intransigent work rules of the UAW.
So Dan, Amy Holmes here. I want to ask you about the economics and basically the why, so that we understand the cause, we understand the solution. Why is manufacturing down for the first time in 3 years? And in a Reuters report, on this number. They suggested it's just basically the United States caught the flu that's been traveling all around the world. What is your reason?
The bad news that we're seeing in Europe obviously isn't good for America. There's concerns about a bubble bursting or at least deflating in China. That's not good news. So I will give Obama the benefit of the doubt that in some sense we can't control what's happening elsewhere in the world. But when I look at the rest of the world, why is Europe collapsing? Because government is too big and taxes are too high. What is Obama trying to do in America? He's trying to increase the burden of government and increase tax rates.
And do you believe that has driven manufacturing driven it down for the first time in 3 years? That is the cause of today's really terrible headline?
There's no question that businesses, I think everyone would agree with this, businesses only create jobs when they think it's going to increase profitability, revenue, sales, so on and so forth. Well, if we're making employees more of a liability because of things like Obamacare, and of course that wouldn't have even been reflected in this latest data, so who knows what's going to happen in the future, it's going to be more expensive to hire workers, more expensive to create jobs, less likelihood of profits. Well, we're becoming more like Europe, so we shouldn't be surprised that we're getting more of these anemic European-type job numbers and growth numbers.